Hi guys, you're welcome to another tutorial on SewWithAby channel. In today's video, I'll be sharing the cutting and sewing of this Bubu dress, which has a tassel and fringe attached to it. This dress is simple to make and it can be achieved with any fabric of your choice. I used 2 yards of Adire fabric to achieve this style. So if this is what you like to see, then keep watching. Let's get into it. For this tutorial, these are the materials I'll be making use of, and this here is called tassel that will be attached at the neckline, and this is the fringe. This fringe varies in length. The length I have here is 20 inches and it is 2 yards. For my fabric, I have Adire here, which is 2 yards. Now I'll go ahead to fold it into 4 as I'll be cutting the back and front together. Alright guys, I've folded my fabric into 4 and I folded my bust measurement divided by 4 plus extra inches. Now the first thing I'll do is to draw a straight line which will serve as my starting line. I'm very sorry my chalk is not that clear, but just follow the direction of my hand, okay? Now the next thing I'm going to do is to start taking my measurements. The first will be the neck. The width is 2.5 inches, but I later increased it to 3 inches, so the neck width is 3 inches and the neck depth for the back is 1 inch. I'll be marking the neck depth for the front later on. The next thing to do is to take my shoulder measurement. My shoulder measurement divided by 2 is 8 inches. And from that shoulder mark, I'll take my sleeve measurement. This is where you will determine how long you want your sleeve to be. For me, I'm making use of 10 inches. Yours could be longer or shorter than mine, okay? Then I added extra 1.5 inches as hem allowance, and from that mark I came down by 1.5 inches for the shoulder slope. Then I'll draw a slant line back to the neck area. The next thing I'll do now is to measure the sleeve opening, but before then let me take the vertical measurements. Now from the shoulder line I'll measure my bust line. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'm making use of 11 inches. Then I'll draw a straight line across. From the shoulder line again, I'll measure the length of my dress. The total length of this dress is 60 inches. Remember I said the fringe I'm working with is 20 inches. Now if I deduct 20 from 60, I have 40 inches. Plus extra 1 inch as hem allowance, which is 41 inches. So I measured 41 inches there, which means to know the length of your fabric, that is where your fabric will stop, you have to deduct the length of your fringe from your full length. Next thing to do is to measure the sleeve opening. Now from the shoulder slope, I'll come down by 9.5 inches, which fall exactly on the bust line. Then I will draw a straight line connecting the bust line to the shoulder slope. The next thing I want to do is to take the round measurement. Now the biggest part of my round measurement is what I'll be using, which is my hip. My hip is 40 inches divided by 4 is 10, and that is what I marked there. Now because this is a free dress, you should add extra inches to that measurement. For me, I'll be adding 5. You can decide to add less or more inches to yours, okay? Now the total inches on the bust line is what I'll measure on the hem line. Then I'll connect the 2 points with a straight line. Next thing to do is to create the armhole curve. From the bust line, I'll come down by 2.5 inches. Then draw a curve towards the sleeve opening. Now this dress is going to be having side pockets and it will be cut together pockets. So the next thing to do is to mark where the pockets will be. From the starting line, I'll come down by 17 inches, or simply make use of your shoulder to your waist measurement. And from that 17 inches mark, I'll measure the pocket opening, which is 7 inches. Then I'll mark the shape I want the pockets to have. Alright guys, this is all for the drafting of this dress. I'll go ahead now to cut. For this line, I'll be cutting directly on it. I'll cut ½ inch before the line. and that ½ inch will be used to join the shoulders together. I will separate the two pieces and use one as the front piece. So guys, this is the front piece. I'll go ahead to measure the neck depth. The neck depth is 7 inches and it is V shape. I'll draw the V shape and also cut it out. Now for the neck depth, you can choose to go lower than that 7 inches. Alright guys, this is what the front neckline looks like. The next thing I want to do is to cut out facing. This is the piece for the front facing and it is on fold. I'll place it under my main fabric, then go ahead to trace out the shoulder as well as the neckline. Afterwards, I'll determine how wide I want the facing to be. Next thing to do is to stitch the facing to the neckline, but before then I'll carefully place the tassel at the sharpness of the V. Go ahead and pin it down if you want, then I'll use the facing to cover it up. Head over to the sewing machine to stitch using ½ inch measurement. For the back facing, this is the piece for it. It is also on fold. I'll go ahead to cut it out. I will attach the facing to the neckline and head over to the sewing machine to stitch. Alright guys, after stitching the facing to the neckline, I also turn in the edge to give it a neat finishing. Now I will notch this part as well as the other parts of the neckline so that when I turn in the facing, it will lay perfectly well. For the facing, I'll be using hemming gum to hold it down after joining the shoulder. You can see how the tassel is sitting pretty well on the neckline. I also stitched the facing to the back neckline and this is what it looks like. I turn in the edge just like I did the front facing. The next thing to do is to join the shoulder together. I'll place the back piece on the front piece, right side facing each other. Then open up the facing, turn it to the back, head over to the sewing machine to stitch using ½ inch measurement, and I'll also be stitching the other shoulder the same way. After stitching the shoulder, I use hemming gum to hold down the facing. The next thing to do is to stitch the hem of the sleeve with the allowance I left for it while cutting. I'll fold it in twice and run a stitch on it, and I'll be stitching the second sleeve the same way. After stitching the hem of the sleeve, the next thing to do is to close the side, and this is how I'll be stitching it. Alright guys, I have stitched the sides of the dress, and the next thing to do is to stitch the hem of the dress with the 1 inch allowance I left for it while cutting. I'll head over to the sewing machine now to stitch it all round. Now that I've stitched the hem of the dress, the next thing to do is to attach the fringe to it. I will place it at the hem like so. At this point, you can decide to pin it down before you stitch. Then I will head over to the sewing machine to stitch the fringe all around the hem of my dress. And this is the outcome of the dress. Thanks for watching guys. I hope you find this tutorial helpful. Kindly give this video a thumbs up, and if this is your first time of coming across this channel, thanks for stopping by. Please do not leave without subscribing and turn on post notifications so that anytime I post new videos you will be notified. See you in my next one.